Welcome to the channel. I'm here with Paul. Say hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
And we're running a new narrative campaign called The Death of Hope. Now, The Death of Hope will be on deploymentzone.tv, but this prologue and the first fight will also be on YouTube as well to encourage people to come and join us in the deployment zone. So this is the prologue for that narrative campaign, and we're here to talk about what it's all about and set the scene before we jump into The Death of Hope. So, the world in which this campaign takes place is a new planet called LS-1046. It's a settler's world. There are less than 1 million people on LS-1046, and the settlers on this planet call the planet Hope. And Hope is about to be devoured by a splinter from High Fleet Kraken. And this splinter is well known. They know exactly where it's going, because normally the shadow of the warp, the planets just go dark and they don't see it coming. But in this case, this particular splinter of High Fleet Kraken has been rampaging around the Caradon cluster and has recently taken to devouring Crispin's tomb, a grave world, Orpheus sector, Caradon cluster. And it's on its way to Hope. And so the people of Hope have been calling out for aid. But there's no industry on Hope, no money on Hope, no economy on Hope, no military on Hope.
There would have been if it had been given a few 100 years to bed in and wasn't about to be eaten by Gribblies.
Exactly.
But there isn't yet.
There isn't yet.
Right now, it's Ledger in the do we save it or not scale is...
According to the wider Imperium, Hope is worthless in the 41st millennium.
Nah.
So Hope will die. However, Hope isn't entirely worthless to one particular faction in the 31st millennium. The combined fleet of the 13th and the Pendant Forge have heard their cries, and the 13th have been taking a bit of a pounding recently, particularly after the shattering of the fleet at the hands of the Word Bearers. So the combined fleet are on their way to Hope, are on Hope at the start of the campaign, and they're there to rescue as many civilians as they can, to evacuate as many civilians as they can to help rebuild the 13th Fleet. That's where we start. And then at the end of the campaign, the Imperial forces will take off from the planet and nuke it from orbit. Exterminatus.
It is the only way to be sure.
So at the end of our campaign, Hope will die. But this campaign is not about the Imperium.
It's not.
This campaign is about the Sneaky Eldar, which you've brought along.
The Azurani.
Those guys. So that's the background to LS-1046. That's the background to Hope. Why are the Azurani involved? What is this campaign really about?
Okay, so this campaign is about a deceased Farseer called Anesh Handroth, known as the Wanderer. It's a Farseer who perished thousands of years ago, and whose final resting place, the location of her spirit stone, was never known or discovered. Now, it is believed there are a few Eldar who will remember this. I think at the moment there are something like 400 Azurani who were around before the fall.
Okay.
And that's the actual number. So a couple of them will have known Anesh.
So she was around before the fall?
Yes.
Okay.
And her knowledge of the webway, which was of course largely intact before the fall,
Yep.
is unparalleled by today's standards.
Okay.
And even though she's dead, even though she's in her spirit stone, she knows the impending doom. She knows the Tyranids are coming.
She's that powerful.
She doesn't want to be exterminated. Well, Eldar souls don't really die. They just move from a body into a... Well, they get destroyed in the warp. They get eaten by Slaanesh in the warp.
Yeah.
But when they're in a stone, they're still kicking.
Okay.
And that's why they go into the stones, and then they get put in the Infinity Circuit on a craft world. They all still live, and then when they want to raise wraith constructs, they sort of go, "Would you mind awfully hopping into this stone and powering this thing?" And they go, "Oh, delighted!" Wraith Knight, sorry, Wraith Lord, Wraith Knight. Wraith Knight's a different process, but I digress. So she knows death is coming, so she is reaching out psychically to her living kin of Craftworld Elatok. And a Farseer by the name of Ilisar Eldernet, damn it. I'm reading, okay? I'll stop lying that I'm reading and pretending to do it
many
sneakily.
names.
So many names. And I'm terrible with names.
Yeah.
I am. I at work, I have 30 people in my team, and I have to say, would you mind doing this? Or, you, sir.
Terrible with names.
Terrible with names.
It's okay, Beverly. Carry on.
No problem, Doris. So, Ilisar Eldrineth
Yeah.
he's been plagued with visions and dreams, and believes that he knows the last resting place of Anesh, and his craft world do not believe it is worth the expenditure of Eldari lives. They will not summon a full war host and go into battle with the Imperium and the Hive Fleet in order to rescue one Spirit Stone.
Basically, yeah. Particularly because it's only one Farseer having these dreams, having these visions.
It's knowledge, but
yeah.
But that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Until
well, every life is precious.
Indeed.
For the Eldar. The Imperium spend them like chocolate.
Quite.
Yeah.
Eldar a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pinky out. Anyway. Until the Phoenix Lord Grandras turned up on Craftworld Latok, who had been having the same or similar visions. At which point, the Seer Council of Alatok have relented and said, okay, there's obviously some significance to this. There's a reason why we have to go and recover this Farseer Spirit Stone.
Well, he is a Phoenix Lord, right? There's only one Karandras.
There is a... Now, that's an interesting point.
Oh.
Which I won't get into. He's the second Karandras, not the first Karandras.
But there's only one around at the moment.
Well, technically, one of the Drakari is allegedly was Karandras, but now isn't. So
I thought
you
there's
think
only
something
one
interesting
of every
there?
Phoenix Lord.
Yes, but the one who was Karandras to start with, it is alleged, is now in sort of the sort of spiky death camp, and it's a different Karandras.
Okay.
I'm not fully au fait with all the details of that, but yes, there is only one Karandras. The other one is technically something different now. Only one Karandras.
Right.
And they've said, okay, there is obviously something to this, but we are not going to commit a full-scale assault. We're not going to commit the craft world and all its armies to this task. The only way it can be achieved is by summoning a small war host and achieving the task surreptitiously, sneaking in, grabbing the stone, sneaking out.
Yep.
So they have assembled a host of aspect warriors and guardians and pathfinders and associated paraphernalia, and they are going through the webway to the planet Hope in order to recover this Spirit Stone.
Okay. So Hope will die. And Eshandroth is so powerful, so strong. Even in the Spirit Stone, she knows it's going to die. And she'll be trapped there forever.
Or she'll be annihilated.
So
if the Spirit Stone is destroyed, she goes into the warp and becomes a tasty morsel if she first.
Yeah. Yep. A tasty treat.
And that would be bad.
A wafer thin mint.
Just one wafer thin mint. Slanesh is like, I'm full. Slanesh is never full.
No. So she's calling out and calling out and calling out, and this war host is finally coming because Karandras turned up as well. And the whole of this campaign is essentially this war host. Do they get the Spirit Stone of Anesh Handroth in the middle of a tyrannid invasion of a world with the 13th and the Penitent Forge running around? Now, a couple of interesting things. Your war host is your war host. There will be no reserves coming.
I have got a fixed number of models and units.
Yep.
And that is what I have.
Yep.
Alatok will not be sending any other reinforcements.
Yep.
I've got what I've got.
You've got what you got.
And I've got to make it last.
I know.
And every Eldar that dies makes my war host smaller for every subsequent task.
We start off with a patrol mission, which is the first one, which will be on YouTube and diplomazen.tv. Then it gets big. Then it gets to the full war host. And then from that point, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Essentially,
We might end up with a kill team at the end.
yeah. Essentially, the first challenge that they have to overcome is that the shadow in the warp is making it very difficult to work out which webway gate to access. They have a problem in accessing the right webway gate. There are lots of potential entry points on this planet, but the webway is quite fractured.
Yeah.
And the Alatok warhost doesn't necessarily know how to get to the right one, and the shadow in the warp is stopping that from being divined.
Yeah.
So they sort of find one way in, and they go, right, this is the only way we can do it, but it's not straightforward.
No.
And they have to
do that patrol mission.
They have to come up with an approach.
Yes.
They have to come up with an approach, which means they've got to sort of split up.
Yes.
And divide the forces in order to be able to get planetside. Yes. Going down on lots of big ships, that's a no, because, Tyranids, Imperial fleet, nom.
Because just like every other planet, well, not like every other planet, but just like many planets in the galaxy in the 41st millennium, while this is a settler's world, while this is a new world to the Imperium, the world of hope, there are hundreds of Eldar constructs scattered across this planet on the surface and below ground, and other weird constructs on this planet as well. Let's just say that other forces, other factions have played in this play pit before. Hope is a curious place.
This planet has been inhabited for not for a very long time, since time immemorial.
That's the word. There's a reason why Anesh Handroth was there. There's a reason why her spirit stone is finally resting in this place. So that's the background to this campaign. At the very end, because the clock will be ticking, the Imperium has no need for hope. Hope will die. But will the warhost from Craftworld Alatok? Did I get it right?
You did.
Yay. Will the warhost from Craftworld Alatok be able to rescue the Spirit Stone of Anesh Handroth?
The thing that surprises me isn't that you got it right, it's that you actually tried to get it right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I've been trying.
No, you haven't. No, he has, actually. He has.
I have. I've got a cheat sheet as well.
Yeah.
So that's it. That is the prologue to The Death of Hope. The first one will be up on YouTube pretty much immediately after this video comes up, and we do hope you join us in the deployment zone for the remaining parts. Anything else? I think that's it. I think we covered it.
Meep.
Meep. Happy wargaming.